Hey everyone, it's Holly from the Urban Homesteader, and before you start watching this next video, I just really wanted to give you an update as to what it's about. So you guys remember when I started to harvest the honey out of our beehives, and we had collected the wax caps from the frames. We had kind of set them aside, they were in a bowl, we dripped out the honey, and then the wax was kind of dried up. The plan for me was to take that dried wax, render it, which kind of means cleaning it, and make it purposeful for another project. So that's what this video is about. As you get into it, you're going to notice in the beginning, I just kind of jumped right into it and didn't really give an explanation. So you maybe are wondering, well, why do you want clean wax? What are you going to be doing with it? I don't really know yet, although I am looking for suggestions. So some things that you can use rendered wax for includes lip balm and soap making. You need very little wax to do that, but it is something that you can do, and you can probably bet that you're going to be seeing me get into that. You could also make crayons that are organic, which I think is kind of cool. You could use it for furniture polish. There are lots of other ideas of how you can use the wax. You have to figure that out on your own, but my point in this next video was to see if I could actually get through the process of rendering the wax, and I think you're going to find it was kind of a cool process, and you're going to be really surprised at the end when I show you what came out of the wax. So I hope you enjoy. Hey everyone, it's Holly from the Urban Homesteader, and today we're going to render some wax. Now, this is a project that has been far delayed. I've had the wax sitting on my kitchen table for way too long, and it's driving me a little nutty. So today's going to be the day, simply because it's a longer weekend for me, and I have a minute. So we're going to go ahead and start the process. Now, I also want you to know that this is not something that can be done in one day. I think it's going to take probably 3, but I've never done this before, so we're going to find out real soon. So the first step is collecting all of the things that you need to do such a thing. And that is, I'm just going to kind of go through this. So we need a heat source. We need a large, I'm calling this my Jesus bucket, and the reason for that is because the lid has homemade stamps on it that says I heart Jesus. So I found a Jesus pot at a local thrift store, which, how do you not buy that? I mean, if it's going to send me some good vibes, I'm going to take it. We need a bucket. We need the wax, obviously. This is the wax, this container, and then the bag of wax that belongs, was given to me by Carrie. So she didn't want to do any of this. So, and I wanted to try it. I've never done it. We're going to see how it goes. Just a simple 5-gallon pail, and then this is a paint strainer. And it's just like netting, but it's super cool. So here's what my plan is. I'm going to use the bucket for now as just an operation to keep it open. I'm going to put the wax in here. I'm going to light the heat source. And I'm going to take this whole bag and put it in the big Jesus pot. And we're going to melt it all down. We're going to add some water along the way too. But for now, that's about it. I mean, spoons, metal spoon. And I have some like welding gloves. I don't anticipate needing them a whole lot, but I didn't want to take any chances, so I went and got some. And that's about it. So the plan is to go through round 1 so far today. And I think it's going to take about 3 days from what I've learned to get all of the impurities out of the wax. It's a process. And honestly, I feel like it's going to take longer for the wax to set and cool before we can do anything. But first, we've got to melt it down. So we're going to go ahead and just start doing it. Well, like I said, this is the wax from our beehives. We're going to set it in here. This is the stuff that I had dripping through my like a jelly strainer just to get the honey out of it. But now this is all the wax leftover stuff. And this is going to become, I'm not even sure. I think I might do candles. Really, I don't know. I know I am going to make some lip balm, but this is way more than enough wax for that. But I just wanted to try this because I was intrigued and interested. So here I go. Oh, and there is still some honey in there. That's okay. It'll evaporate out. And then this wax, of course, is, I guess I'd call it dirty. There's going to be bee bodies in here and maybe some debris like leaves, stuff from trees, just whatever the bees brought in with them. And that's just normal. It's just normal beehive stuff. But we're going to clean it up and go from there. Okay, there's one container. It's a little bit of a dreary day out here today, but like I said, I had a minute, so we're going to take advantage of it. I've also learned that whenever you do this, whenever you're dealing with wax, whatever items you use, like my Jesus pot, the spoon, potentially even these containers, are kind of trashed. They get a little bit of wax on them and they're kind of done for. But that's okay. These are all cheapy stuff. A little gooey. More honey in there than I thought. That's all right though. I'm going to put that pot on. We're going to put the wax in. But first, before we put the wax in, I'm going to tie the top of the bag with a twist tie so that it doesn't stay open and leak. This might be easier said than done too. Because we don't want those bee bits to get into the wax free floating. We want to keep the wax to be able to seep out of this strainer. Okay, just like this. Put it in here. And I'm going to add some water to it. And I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it to make sure we don't want it to boil over. Okay, so we're about a minute in, and it is already going to town. It's kind of cool. So I love that there's already wax seeping out, and I know that's the wax because that's the color that's going to be. Okay, you guys, we're about 5 minutes in, something like that, and I can see the wax seeping through, which is super cool. I brought a cardboard box out just because I'm going to need a place to put the bag of impurities, if you will, and it's going to be dripping. I'm going to show you this. This is just cool. So you can see that that's wax. Okay, we're just about to the end, I think. And the reason I know that is because the stuff that's in the bag, I've kind of been poking at it, trying to get it all broken up. And it seems pretty squishy, lack of a better word. So if you're interested. So I'm already seeing that I like the idea of the bag, but I don't love that all of this wax is going to be on the outside, and I'm not going to be able to use that. It's going to just be wasted wax. And then there's chunks in here. I'm going to try to smooth all of this out, and then I'm going to transfer it. I wish I could squeeze it, but it's so hot. That is a lot of impurities in there. One thing's for sure, it smells delicious. It's got this sweet, just a sweetness, which makes sense, but it smells good. All right. Okay, you guys, so the heat's off. I want to get it transferred into this bucket before it starts to harden up. And I know that this pot is hot. The Jesus pot is hot. So I'm going to put my gloves on. And I'm going to take advantage of the little bit of snow that we have. And I'm going to put it out here in the snow. And hopefully that'll cool it down faster. In theory, we're going to see how it goes. And I'm hoping that this pours well. Not bad. All right, a little messy, not terrible though. That's okay. It'll just go into the lawn and it'll get mowed and all that stuff. I'm going to put this down here too. And that is it. Now we wait until tomorrow where this should be separated. So the wax goes to the top and the water goes to the bottom. I'm hoping that it doesn't stick to the sides of the bucket, but we'll see. Generally what I've seen in the videos that I watched is that you can kind of shimmy it a little bit and then it separates and then you can just dump out the water. And then we're going to go through the process again, except tomorrow we're going to use pantyhose because the holes in pantyhose are littler and that'll take out even more of those impurities. So until tomorrow, here we go. We're just going to wait and see what happens. Well, hey, you guys, we're back to day 2, and the wax has hardened up, and it is ready to be remelted. And I'm a little surprised at how, what I'm considering it, dirty it is. I can see lots of sediment in there, but I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised because it's the first time that it's been rendered, and so it's going to be dirty. But anyway, just wanted to kind of show you the next step. As I mentioned yesterday, we're going to be putting this batch into a pair of pantyhose. And a little fun fact I would just like to talk about briefly about the pantyhose. These come in different sizes, and I don't know who decided on the sizes, but this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. There's 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. Seems typical. A, B, and Q. I'm not sure who thought that Q for the large would be the best idea, but I don't know. Anyway, I just was surprised and a little confused about that. Anyway, what we're going to do is take 1 pair of pantyhose, and I'm just going to cut these in half because I'm confident that I'm going to be able to fit all of the wax into 1 leg, and then it'll be easier for me to tie it off with in a knot. So we'll save those for the next time. And you guys are probably curious about what this wax looks like. As am I. I know that the bottom of this wax is going to be the most dirty. And I was lucky that it came out. It's going to come out like one big giant chunk. Well, almost one big giant chunk. But you can see, actually this bottom part is weird and soft. I'm not sure what that's all about. Anyway, we're going to throw these in here into the leg. Where they can be remelted, and then hopefully it gets cleaner as we go because the holes in the pantyhose are much smaller. And that would mean that the yuck pieces are going to be able to stay within the pantyhose, and the wax will come through, the clean wax will come through. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do this for sure 3 times. Hopefully not more. I mean, it's not like it's that big of a deal, but it takes a long time for the stuff to harden up. And I guess I'm more impatient than anything else. Kind of feels like sand, like a real fine sand. So this stuff is probably about an inch, maybe a little bit more thick. And I don't know, I wasn't really sure what to expect for how much wax we'd get out of this. So I don't know, I'm pretty happy with the amount that we have here. And really considering I don't know what what I'm going to be doing with it, what difference does it make? Again, this is just something I wanted to try. And if it turns out cool, I'll make something out of the wax. And if not, then I know that I don't need to do this again. So you can tell this was the piece that kind of broke off on the outside edge of the bucket. There's some smaller pieces in here. I don't think I'm going to waste my time with that. This is about it. Kind of funny. So back into the Jesus pot they go. And then I'm going to tie this off. Just in a simple knot. Put a little bit of water in here. And we're going to do the process all over again. You guys maybe want to see what this looks like. It's a bunch of yellow. Actually, the water looks pretty dirty. I'll pour this out here. Kind of looks like syrup. So that's it. We're gonna let this melt down, and then we'll just let it harden up. Again, we're just gonna wait till the next day. Hopefully tomorrow the wax is a lot cleaner than what it was today, but we won't know until then. So here you can see the wax starting to seep through the nylon. And it's just kind of fascinating to sit here and watch this. It's fascinating to me. Okay, don't make fun of me for this. I find it very intriguing. And I'm going to say this will probably just take 20 minutes, maybe. I just cranked the heat up a little bit, so it's gonna start to boil here in a minute. And I don't want it to necessarily do a hard boil. I'll turn it down once it starts to get to that point. You don't want it to boil over, so that's why I'm going to sit out here and watch it. But kind of cool. Okay, you guys, it's day 3, and I think we're going to have to do one more rendering. I will say this, the wax looks so much brighter and better than it did yesterday, and I'm not sure how much of this you can see, and even the water has a different color to it. It's still fairly dirty, but way better than it was. So we're making progress. It's just going to take another whirl. So. And I think this wax actually has stuck to the side of the bucket. So we're going to take my handy dandy knife, which has been gifted to me by Carrie. And this was already used for other wax things. She had made lip balm a long time ago, and she had a box of stuff, and she gave me the box, and this was in there. So since this has already been dedicated for wax, I'm using it for this purpose as well. Okay, I'm going to try to get this wax out of here, but first I have to cut along the sides. Oh, actually, it's maybe not as stuck as I thought. Oh yeah, it's loose. All right. See, then we get these pieces that fall in here, but I'll throw those back into the Jesus pot when I remelt this down, and it'll all go back together again. All right, now that the wax has been removed from the sides of the bucket and that it's able to get taken out of there, first thing I'm going to do is dump the water out. And then I'm very curious as to what the bottom of this wax disc is going to look like, because that's where all the impurities are supposed to go. It's supposed to kind of go to the bottom of that, and I'm just curious. I wasn't seeing that in the first 2 renderings that we did, so we'll see. I mean, and if there isn't any, that's great, because less I have to do later. So let's go ahead and dump this out. I don't want to. Okay. Boy, there's just not much on there. This is looking so good. It's pretty clean, honestly. I still want to render it down one more time. it's so bizarre. Like, it's like these little wax chunks that are just, it's like they're not melting down. I don't know what's going on with that, but I thought I was going to have to take a hive tool and break up this wax disc, but I don't have a hive tool because I have two of them, but they're both at Carrie's. So instead, I got a hammer and a crowbar from Pat's Toolbox. Don't tell him I'm borrowing those. But I don't even think I'm going to need them. I thought I'd have to use them to break them up and so I can stick them in the pantyhose, but I think we're good. I think I can probably just use my own strength and break up these pieces into smaller bits. So we're just going to throw, you guys have seen this before, we're just going to throw these in another pair of pantyhose and melt them down. So you know what? It's going to be another day. You got to be kind of careful. You don't want to put a run in your nylons because then you're going to have a hole in them, of course, and then that's going to defeat the purpose of rendering this to keep the impurities out. So who knew you wanted to not run your nylons for wax rendering? You may be wondering how much water you need. Just enough to cover it. I don't even know if I'm putting in that much because by the time it melts down, kind of a guessing game. I did mine about halfway. So that's it. We're going to go ahead and let this melt down and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey you guys, it's Holly from the Urban Homesteader, and today we are finally wrapping up our wax rendering session. I was going to say that I worked so hard on, but really it was not hard at all, and anybody can do this, I'm telling you. I'm going to show you guys first how it turned out, and I am very proud and I'm very excited about this. Look at this. Look at how pretty. This is like the perfect piece of wax for me for the first time. I just think this is amazing. Now, I didn't really have any idea how much wax I was going to end up with, and this is about 3/4 of an inch thick and basically the diameter of a 5-gallon bucket. So I don't really care how much I got out of this. I just think that it's cool that the process worked and that I got such a beautiful and clean piece of wax. So first, what I wanted to show you guys, I wanted to do a little kind of like another show and tell, but I wanted to go through and show you what came out of that wax. And first of all, this was the first rendering, and this is a whole lot of junk. I'm going to be honest with you, there was a whole lot of bee bodies in here, and of course now it just kind of has taken on the shape of the filter once it dried, and there's going to be a little bit of wax in there. So you can't really see the bodies, but I also know that there were kind of like pine needles and leaves and stuff like that. And that was just because the frames were out in the woods, and I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons. The bees brought some things in too, and you know, when they're out foraging for their pollen, they're bringing things in with them without knowing, and they're making the wax dirty as well. So in a joint effort, they did a real good job of bringing in some yuck. But anyway, this is what the filter now looks like. And I was kind of thinking that there's no reason why I couldn't use this filter again. So when I do this again next year, because you know darn well I'm going to, after that beautiful piece of wax, heck yeah, I'm doing this again. But why couldn't I use this again? I mean, I would use this for the first rendering, of course, and then who cares if it's dirty now? It's only going to get dirty again. If it doesn't work that great next year, fine, then I'll know to only use this one time. But I'm kind of curious if I could use this again. And you guys might be thinking, well, yeah, but there's wax all over it. Yeah, it's going to melt. So the holes are going to remain the same, and it should work just fine. So I'm going to hang on to it, and then we'll try it again next year. And then we're moving on to the pantyhose, the first rendering of the pantyhose, and this is super cool. Look at the difference. I mean, the pile that came out of the second rendering is near nothing in comparison to the first rendering. Not only that, but it's very, very fine. To me, it kind of reminds me of coffee grounds, about the same color, but maybe a little bit lighter. And then, of course, there's bigger chunks in here, but that only happened because, kind of like this, when the pantyhose dried, it's going to have some wax residue on it, and then, of course, you're just going to get these chunks. But Pretty cool what a difference one filter does. Go from this to this. And then we go into the third rendering, which was again the pantyhose. Same consistency as far as output of yuck, but the color is much lighter. This is more like this color of sand. And then again, the bigger chunks, that's the same thing. You know, some wax got melted in there and that's just how it dried. But look at this compared to this and what came out in only 3 filters. I think that is amazing. And so again, this is the finished product. This is what the backside looks like. I'm just so proud and so happy. So here's the thing. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this beautiful piece of wax, so I need your help. I would love to hear what you think I should be using this wax for. Of course, candles has come to mind. I don't know how many candles I could do with this one piece of wax. Not that I'm against that idea, and here's what I'm thinking. Like, I could save this wax year after year until I get so much of it that I'm going to have to do something. And candles would be a good way. You can make pillar candles and get rid of it, you know, in one large swoop. So that's one idea. But I really do want to know what you guys think I should use this for. I have some ideas, but I just don't know how relevant they are. But always looking for things to do, of course, you know, because I need more things to do, right? But that's good. I'm so happy that you guys followed me along with this rendering. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.